Call to order, Pledge of Allegiance. Who wants to lead us here? Mark?
Sure. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mark. Roll call. Everybody, let the record show everybody's here. Which brings us to special presentations. Who's getting gold watches? What's the deal?
Green jacket.
Samantha, do you know anything about special presentations?
We have none.
That was sort of anticlimactic.
Okay, entertaining a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
All motion to approve minutes?
All right, Deb, made the motion.
I'll second.
Andy, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Oral communications, no cards?
None.
None.
Oh, boy. Rick's trying to set the record.
I
I
feel like it already
I feel
happened.
like I'm going to marathon.
I haven't lowered the course record. Old business. You got anything for old business, Samantha?
We have none.
Oh, that's nice. That is stamped.
No, we don't have any update from the master plan. It's not on this section.
No, I can talk about that under 6B.
Okay.
New business. Explain to me this amenity donation program. I mean, I read it and everything. I was looking at the benches. How come the benches without backs are more expensive than the ones with backs?
One of it's material. So, so the goal is to, I think the staff report kind of covered it. The goal is to get new benches throughout the course. Debbie, do you have that presentation?
I do.
And the House Subcommittee, Robert and Mandy actually worked on this, and I will bring up the document that kind of depicts where their recommendations are for additional benches as well as trash cans and potentially some water stations as well. A little unfocused. It's not your eyes. But there's a need for quite a few benches. So instead of having this be an expense that the golf course fund takes on, we thought it behoove us to replicate what we do on our park system, which is through the CARE program, allowing people the opportunity to donate a bench. It offsets the initial cost, plus it covers our long-term maintenance for about 10 years. The CARE program has been hugely successful in our park system, and we routinely get new benches into place through the trails, the parks, along the beaches, and that has been a pretty big expense savings for the general fund. So wanting to do the same thing for the golf course was the idea here. The House Subcommittee met and came up with a number of locations, but before we go into the locations, we did want to talk about design options. There's some different styles that we brought forward, and you can see the different styles in your attachment starting on page 3. They do vary in cost. There's also some different plaque options as well. So it might seem a little granular, and if the committee as a whole wants to delegate the final decision making to the House Subcommittee, that's completely fine, just based on opinions. That's okay too. That's where we could land this evening. But the goal is to create a package that we can take to council for approval, and then we can begin to advertise this as a program for donations. The program would be managed through the Beach Parks and Recreation Department. It would most likely be Debbie, because she also does the CARE program. So, and we do get quite a few calls for people who want to donate. They want to donate a tree, or they want to put a plaque somewhere on the course. So I really think that the market is there, the appetite's there, and this gives us a very aesthetically pleasing program, and it is all the same across. So we're looking for committee's recommendation on bench style, coloring, and potentially location. Again, there's quite a few locations that the subcommittee's identified, and we can run through that. But really the difference between benches, some of it is style, some of it is material. So you can see that first option is all metal, and that's going to be powder coated, and it is going to be pretty resistant to our sea air. The second option B, that is partly metal, and then it's partly also that Trex material, which we have some of this style, well, that material, that's in our park, the Talega Park system. So if you've gone and looked at the picnic tables out in Talega, you'll see the Trex material. It's kind of a composite plastic material. And it is wonderful in the sense it doesn't fade. It's pretty resilient. It's not going to start to chip away. It can be vandalized to an extent, but it's pretty hardy other than that. So that's kind of a combination of the two. And then we get into options C, D, and E. They are backless. And again, one is all metal. This is a longer bench as well. That's probably the cost difference that you're referring to, Rick. And then this is, again, option D is a combination of the Trex and the metal. And then option E has no handles. And then it has a little bit of a different swoop at the leg as well. So these felt like the committee kind of discussed that the shell feature, right, kind of that shell piece, if you will, throughout it's helped kind of reflects the Spanish colonial style. It kind of speaks to the era of the golf course through the 20s. So those were we narrowed it down to there. For reference, for the CARE program, we currently charge $5,000 a bench for the CARE program, and people have completely accepted that. That is a fair price to get the name of their loved one on a bench. That means something to them. So,
where does the extra money from that $5,000 go to if the benches are only $2,000?
So it's going to go into, just like the CARE program, it goes into what we call a wish book fund. So if we have to go out and maintain the bench, whether it's a repowder coating or a graffiti removal, it's going to go into this special fund that doesn't get used anywhere else, and then it rolls over year to year, so we're not going to lose it year to year. So it would go into kind of this maintenance golf bench program fund.
Cool.
One of the things that when we were discussing it was to put the benches with the trash can, and so there's benches and trash cans together, and also put some more of them around the women's tees where possible, because there's no seats or trash cans there. And then the water stations that we talked about were only where the water stations used to be. So it's not putting new piping in, it was where, like on 9, for example, there used to be a fountain at the back of 9. It was to put them back to where they were and make them work again.
You guys would know, we took drinking fountains out in 2020 as kind of in response to COVID. The drinking fountains were also pretty dated. I think they were built by staff decades ago. So they were removed, but to Mandy's point, all the plumbing is still there, and we can certainly kind of put that back together. We would want to do a much more modern drinking fountain. We would hopefully do one that has a bottle refill. And those we just bought one for the pump track. Those are about $5,500 to $6,000. And they're pretty hardy in terms of stability. And that would be the recommendation to put out through the course as well. They come in a lot of different colors. They come in brown and green, blue. You can almost pick any color you want. So that would be an option too. We would incorporate the drinking fountain option into it. If you've been to Vista Hermosa, when we opened Vista Hermosa Sports Park, we sold drinking fountains as part of that fundraising opportunity, and you'll notice there's a little plaque. There's an orthodontics business that donated a fountain in Courtney Sandcastle, and so that's on there. That we would mirror that essentially. So it gives that person or business some notoriety, and now we have a new amenity as well. We can run through this slideshow if you guys want really quickly. I will leave it up to the committee how you want to go from here. There also was a note regarding ball washing stations and the shoe cleaner. Whether one of them is in pretty rough condition right at the clubhouse. Do we want to incorporate those features into the amenity program? Do we want to kind of let them go all in all, or what does that look like as well? So we're looking for a little bit of guidance on that too.
does anyone use ball washer stations anymore?
We discussed a little bit about this, and it seems like everybody has towels, whether they're walking or in a cart, and ball washers are,
They're pain to fill up all the time. The
Right.
water's
Yeah.
usually really
Gross.
disgusting inside.
Yeah.
It should just get all removed.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the shoe scrubs is not a bad idea, 'cause especially on our course, it picks up a lot of grass on your shoes, and it's nice to not, rather than trying to scrape off the tee, but not vital, you know. I would get rid of all the ball washers of what's left. I don't think there's
I
a
agree
ton
with
left.
that.
But, I mean, bench-wise, I think it's great.
One of the things that we did when we looked at location for benches, kind of considered where people stop, whether they're walking or riding, and like at 13, when you're waiting, it's nice to sit down. That bench all the way in the back is heavily utilized. So that kind of idea
It's really
throughout.
gross as well. It needs to be replaced.
Well, that needs to be replaced. One of the things I wanted to know, that composite material, I think that bench, I don't know if it's still that same material, but it broke. One of the, maybe this was years ago, but
Yeah.
that plastic broke.
It doesn't have the nice metal frame that this has on the end.
Yeah, this
so it
is
sticks out.
more
So
robust.
if you really wanted to, you could like jump up. Kids are probably jumping up and down
Yeah.
and snapped it or something. But
You can, that composite material, you actually can replace single slats as
Oh,
well. We just did that at another park site, so if they are damaged and worn. I can confirm with this company that we could replace a single slat, but that kind of it's part of the appeal of that material is that element.
I would vote for that material over the all metal because the all metal can get kind of hot.
Yeah, in the summer, for sure.
So did you guys say there's more slides at other locations? Or?
So the House Subcommittee did a beautiful job and a lot of work, so we can run through all the slides so you guys can see. Debbie, do you guys want to talk at all about the range?
Is that just a legend that's right there by the
Yes.
first tee? I was about to
Yes.
say, a tee box, a bench there might not be.
Right in the middle, that's a problem? That is a legend. So the subcommittee is recommending several benches within the driving range area as well. That's gonna help Wedgewood also. Wedgewood really struggles with the chairs disappearing from the deck and also their lounge area down by the snack bar. They seem to migrate to the driving range frequently. So that's gonna help that. There's also obviously an ad here for trash cans. And we talked about cart racks as well, or stands or something at the driving range as a plus too.
Yeah, but, club stands,
Club stands, thank you.
which, yeah, it's a thing.
So what happens to the Boy Scouts? Some of their benches.
So the Eagle project?
Yeah.
We would let them know that their project has reached the end of its useful life. They're welcome to participate in getting new benches through this program if they'd want, but that's part of the Eagle Scout program. We do our best to keep it alive as long as possible, but when it's done, it's done. Do you want to
Okay,
speak
what's
to
this
this one
slide?
at all?
Just showing you where the.
This is-
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
So 11, the one on top, one for people playing the back tees, and then another one for the forward tees. Number 2, a bench right along the cart path, and then, of course, back by number 2,
Back by the Blues.
or by the Blues. The other one was, yeah, it's about the same place. And then for the ladies' tees up in front, so they have a place to sit while they're waiting, if they're waiting. And then 3, there's no bench there. That might be better placed over by the cart path, but then there's another addition of that, a bench and a trash can over by the red tees, red and yellow, gold tees.
How many total benches are we talking about?
I don't know. I haven't
Have
counted.
you prioritized, like, if you get 10, right, which 10 would we,
Oh, yeah, no,
Or
that's a
in which-
good,
in which order? or-
like, which one do you think is the most important? You know, I don't know, first,
yeah, good
I
idea.
group them, you know, by, these are the 10 we think are the best, you know, and if it's the red and gold tees that need more benches because there's still some old ones in the back for the, then maybe prioritize those, I mean, I don't know. Unless
Okay.
someone has a certain spot too that they request,
Mhm.
I suppose.
Yeah.
That will be very typical. You know, somebody has passed away and their favorite hole was 15, they want it there. I don't know. That will be very frequent. That's what we get through the care program often. Let me count
Yeah, there's-
as you go through this.
And
I'll tell
then
you.
4, there's already a bench there, I believe. That would be a good place for one. And 5, I don't know that there's one there now, but I thought it might be a good spot. 6, there is a bench there, same place. And then maybe one at the back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but,
Do they get bolted down? Or how do they?
yeah.
They
Maybe
do?
concrete pad,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, we would end up pouring a concrete pad, so like, some of this cost is gonna go to that concrete pad, at least initially, we're gonna have to do that.
Yeah, because people will snag them.
Is this gonna be a city project to install them, or a golf course maintenance?
We would look to our, probably our public works maintenance staff, because they're very versed in this.
7, there's already one in the back, but then add another one for the forward tees.
We use that a lot, so that's a good one.
And then at the bottom,
That one's really good.
after round, there's nowhere to sit. If you don't have a cart and you're waiting for groups to come in, there's nowhere to sit. So you either commandeer a cart or maybe have a bench.
Yep.
So we're looking at about 40 benches throughout the course.
Ah,
I might have miscounted by 1 or 2, because I was talking.
oh,
And then we're looking at 5 along the range, so 45 total.
And then,
Sorry.
I think there's already 2 there already. That's definitely, oh no, there is not one
I
on
was
8.
just laying on that bill.
I'm thinking 9. 8 was adding one at the goal tees.
oh, right.
Yeah. And then 9, there's already 2 benches there that would be replacing those. Chipping area, adding another bench on number 9, forward tees, and then the very forward tees where the goals are, or the parking lot, that would be one. And then the chipping area doesn't have any benches. That'd be a nice place to have a couple benches. And then 12, we're adding one there. There's already a bench. Some of them aren't used, I think, because they're not near where people are waiting to hit their next, waiting for their golf mates to hit.
Right.
So they're standing there already. So placing was going to be a bit of a discussion.
Well,
12,
yes.
that silver tees doesn't have one.
a lot of it has to do with the pace of play on certain holes, like 13, there's always waiting there.
Oh, right.
2,
15.
always waiting on 2.
Yeah. 2,
Yeah, and
15,
2.
all the par 3s are pretty much waiting.
13,
And then 13, I don't think there's a bench on the
No, there's no
gold,
bench
so
on
we
that
want
list.
to add one over there, and then add another one up by the white tees, because not everybody is sitting back at the blues a lot of play.
I would worry a little bit about having one like on the tee box there and like a low screamer coming into it and coming right back at you.
Yeah, so maybe put that over by the cart path.
Yeah.
Although that's a downhill, but it could be over on the other side of the,
I know, it might be on the other side of the path,
Yeah.
different spot.
yeah. So those are the kind of things, again, rough,
These are just general.
rough draft, but yeah.
No, but that's good.
And then 14,
Mhm.
15 has that one there already, but yeah,
Need one at
that's the
the
Eagles
back,
got one.
the
and then
middle,
another one has
and the
one.
forward.
Yeah, the forward one.
and then if they add another one at the bottom, we probably want to put that one down there
Yeah,
too.
if they move the silver tees down, which they talk about doing, then it would be nice to have a bench and a trash can there.
16 already has one at blue tees. I don't, and there, I think there is one, not utilized much, but again,
Right,
same
Carpath,
idea.
I think on 16, yeah. 17 has that one.
And then 18. 18 adding one, there's already one back here by the blues, add one by the gold tees and maybe at the silver. I don't know about the silver,
Well, no,
that's like a
So,
fairway.
if there hasn't been a silver tee created, then we wouldn't put a bench in,
Okay.
where the,
Okay.
it's the middle of the fairway.
Yeah.
So the only ones when we're talking about one, it made us always like tell, it made us over to over the right.
Okay.
So that's a good place to.
No,
stay.
okay, that's good.
So they-
I think we're gonna, just out of curiosity, how movable are they if we move tee boxes as part of the master plan?
It would just be making sure there's a concrete pad available.
And rip up the old,
We do it even now with some of our bigger concrete benches that you see along the trails. If we need to move them, we can.
Especially if there's any sort of redesign.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they would
Tee
be
boxes are re-angled slightly
relocated.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, and with the CARE program, if there's a change to the location and it's a donated bench, we contact them, let them know of the change, and give them the opportunity to help pick a new location, and that movement is done free of charge for them. I think we would be looking for a recommendation on the design. Were we looking at option B? Do you want the back or no back?
Option B would be my choice,
Yes, I
I-
agree. What's the back?
Vote for that.
with the back,
Okay.
and the arms and good
It's a
stuff.
good looking.
And are you okay with that color combination, or do you want to go bright red and yellow, or?
I mean, we could go
Just
black
kidding.
and red, just to keep with the San Clemente theme, right?
Yeah. Typically, we do a lot of probably this bronze, if you're looking at your color options, you see a lot of that bronze color, or maybe that Sudan color.
Yeah, I think that coloration's
Okay.
pretty, it's not an eyesore.
You looking for option B, and
Yes.
what's the color on it?
That is in the bronze color currently.
Heritage bronze or
Is it
the-
the
Heritage
heritage
brown?
bronze?
or the bronze, I'm not sure.
It's
hard to
bronze,
say.
not heritage bronze.
Okay.
yeah.
Looks nice. It's fine, yep, generic.
And then, again, this might be granular for the committee, but what are your plaque preferences? How big, how many lines, what's the want? What you're seeing is directly from the company, and these are some examples that they've provided, that you'll see Irvine uses these benches as well.
So on the size of the slats, would it be like one slat, or would it be two slats? I think that would be helpful to know.
Yeah, it'll depend, I mean, they're gonna make any of these fit. I don't know how wide the slats are. I have to look at them.
They look like they're about 3 inches.
Yeah, they're
Wide.
probably around there.
So you'd want it to fit, I think, on one,
On one flat.
not too obtrusive, but give them their money's worth.
No, it's either option B or C is fine with me. Really just gives them enough space. Option C might have to go across 2 slats, but
Yeah.
So I can take the direction from the committee that you'd like the plaque to fit on one slat, and then I can just work with the company from there.
unless the
So-
slats are only like 2
Yeah,
inches.
they're really small.
Then that, you know,
Okay.
make sure that people who feel like they're getting,
That's option A, is
yeah,
2
that looks,
inches.
that looks really small.
Yeah, yeah. I think the 3-inch one looks,
3 or 4 inch,
Okay.
yeah.
yeah, 3 or 4 inch.
Okay.
That's,
So if I can get a motion and a second, and then a vote, to, well, I don't want to do the motions now. Unless you need help on what you're doing.
I will put in a motion to recommend option B for the bench style with the bronze finish
And then can we also have,
and go ahead.
I was gonna say, and included the matching trash can, so it is 2 things, so the trash can goes
And
in as
matching
well.
trash can, that's
Yeah.
good, yep. And a plaque that is no bigger than 4 inches.
enough to fit on the slat on option B, right?
And yeah. And then, and somewhere between 3 and 4 inches, I think, because we didn't like the 2-inch plaque. You want me to restate that?
Yeah.
I think we can get that.
Okay, so you got it?
Yeah. And you're good with the locations proposed by the subcommittee with maybe a few tweaks,
Yeah.
depending on what the design is? Okay.
We have a second from Ben,
I'll second that.
all right. Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Oh, the activity, third quarter activity report. Where is it? Activity. Oh, okay. Everybody get a chance to look at the rounds and cards.
It's a lot.
There's an edit, is that correct, Debbie?
Yeah.
Where's the edit at?
It's going to be fiscal year 24-25 at the bottom.
So the previous year is just quarters? Is this one?
That's the previous quarter 3 for each one of those fiscal years, correct?
I'm trying to figure out.
I know, I'm not sure.
So
Oh, is this Miley? Miley's running this report.
I did this one, but I combined all 3 quarters
comparison.
for the fiscal year 24-25, but it doesn't look like that was done prior.
This is usually a comparison of quarter, same quarter each one.
Yeah, that's kind of, yeah.
So you can see, like, how did we do?
That was this quarter compared to, yeah.
So this quarter we're 24.
24,365.
Compared to last year, we were 27,979 this quarter. So down a little bit.
We'll get it updated and we'll circulate this to the committee, but then we will adjust it in the minutes for next meeting as well.
Okay.
Is it possible, so it says previous year to date in the lower box, right?
Mhm.
And for each of those, but that's just that's really not previous year to date, that's really just the,
It is for the 24-25 year.
right,
Yes.
but for
Right,
the other
but not
ones,
the
it's
previous
just the
ones.
previous matching quarter, right? Previous quarter 3 for each one of those. But I think previous year to date is great because it gives you a look at how we're doing so far. So it would, those other ones would be something like 85,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
That might be more useful than a comparison, or even having both, even, but I don't want to put extra work on staff.
We will take a second look at this report.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we're down a little bit this quarter from last year, or all the years except for 2021, which we all know what's happening.
Doesn't feel that way.
I know. But they did 24 versus 27, almost 28 last time.
Samantha, what do you got for staff communications?
So I will give a quick update on the master plan. The consultant is working on about at least 2 new conceptual designs based on feedback from the subcommittee. And I'm hoping I will actually probably be calling a special meeting. I'd ask the chair to do that. Hopefully early June is my guess. So we'll try to find a date that works for everybody to bring that back forward. And we also planted some trees along 5, along San Luis Rey, if you saw that. We had intended to do 50 trees, but we did 20. We were working with some of the neighbors over there, so we hope that will help with the errant balls that we get complaints about from our neighbors along 5. The remaining trees are going to be planted throughout the course. Jordan's kind of going to take it as his discretion to plant them throughout. I know that there's kind of there's like a utility, it's like a cell site that's kind of unsightly. It has kind of an ugly fence, so we might put those trees in around there just to help some of those aesthetics. So Jordan will be managing rolling those out in the future.
Okay, I went by when they were, just before their event, they asked me to be there at 9, and I said I'll be there at 8:07, because that's when I go through. But the guys were waiting around, and, hey, can we get some coffee and donuts from you guys? Anyway, they had like 20 holes dug, but when I came back, this is like 7:30, just getting dark. There was a bunch of them still in the pots along the street. They didn't get them all planted. Of course, it rained on us twice, 2 different holes. And are those the ones, did they get any more in the ground, or
I
did
think
they?
they're all in now.
Okay.
The ones that are in are in, and the remaining
All the
trees
holes
have
were
been,
filled.
yeah, they've been filled and the trees have been, anything not planted has been removed.
No, that's what Jordan has up at the meeting.
Correct.
Okay.
Why didn't you plant the rest of them all the way down? Didn't need to,
The
We
complaints only
were
registered-
working with the residents in the area.
Oh.
And hopefully now they're not gonna complain about not having golf course views.
That was an issue, I would imagine.
Yeah, it would be, you know.
How tall will those trees grow?
They are pretty fast growing ficus trees. They can grow up to be 40 feet tall if we allow them. I think our goal is to keep them around 20 feet. But if they are planted at 10 feet on the center, so they can become hedge-like, again, if we allow them to. That was another thought of, we are getting a lot of complaints from that area. So,
Yeah. Okay.
So, just to be clear, they wanted to keep the view, but they don't want the golf balls.
Yeah.
we're correct.
Keep
They don't
the
want
view,
fence.
no golf balls.
No.
Okay.
So they're gonna have force fields next. Invisible force
It's a good
fields.
one.
Tracking people.
That'd be perfect.
No, yeah, just like they have in, Star Wars.
All right, subcommittee reports. Dan, you want to report on it?
Sure. Should have all this. Thank you, Debbie, for printing it out on my late notice. So, Rick, myself, and Jordan met this morning. Can't read myself. Obviously, golf course is going through its heavy maintenance period right now, as we all know. The greens were aerified with pretty significant punches that they did. So that was recently completed and it's going through its healing process. The fairways, they are slowly raising the fairway level because of the time of year to help manage burned out spots and stuff like that as we get closer to summer. And of course, they've now put the plant growth regulators back in play to slow down the growth of the grass, which starts to get moving here as we get more sun and as it warms up. Talked about the greens. It could take a couple more weeks for them to come back. They did extra sand this time, and they brushed it in this rather than blowing it in order to keep the edges from getting built up. They find that when they use the blower to blow all the sand in, it gets put on the sides, and you get your fringes built up a little too much. As we all know, those fringes can have a pretty gnarly kick forward if you hit it in the wrong spot because they're kind of elevated. The greens are being mowed daily, believe it or not, but they are at a very much higher height as to not destroy the equipment on all the sand. Irrigation-wise, the pump station issues still exist. 2 of the 3 pumps are active. Pump 3 is ready for repair to the check valve. Jordan didn't have any ETA for that. I don't know if there's any update from staff on that one. Okay.
It's funding.
Yeah. The other one is the talk about the electrical board, and the insurance was potentially going to pay for that. The electric board is kind of having to be kind of held together barely, and Jordan, I know, does have concerns as we get into the summer and we got to get the water pumping and stuff like that. But there's no ETA on that one either, and I don't know if the insurance policy still is being explored on that. There was talk about that in the past. And also, we've had several, as you've noticed, water line breaks occur over the last couple months. The team's having to dig them up, and they're just fixing them one at a time as they can until the master plan is finalized and we determine what's going on with the irrigation. Bunkers, obviously a very big concern. I've heard a lot of people talk to us about, personally me, about bunkers, and their playability has become more difficult with the rains. The team just this week is working on rototilling each of the bunkers in order to break up the sand that is currently contaminated with clay and excess moisture from the rain and wet nights. As we know, the bunkers are not lined and they do not allow for proper drainage, contamination prevention, and erosion, so this all needs to be part of the master plan that we put up as a high priority for that. So in the meantime, they're just doing what they can to try to loosen up the sand and stop it from being so
Is that
compacted.
what I saw on number 8, the bunkers on the right-hand side?
They're doing it all over. So they rototill them, and they're going to go back and smooth them out a little bit.
Okay.
But they're trying what they can to mix it up and to get that moisture out, because there's not proper drainage,
Right.
because they're not lined.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Course is being watered on an as-needed basis at this point in time to keep it from getting too wet, but is also being carefully monitored so we don't get burnt out spots. And then there continues to be a request to add more holes to the putting green, with the wear around one hole getting pretty heavy duty, and also for another hole at the chipping green. But the maintenance staff is very limited right now, and they just don't have the manpower to add extra holes, unfortunately. Trees, as we know, several new trees were planted along the 5th hole, we kind of talked about. There was a couple of trees that are going to be removed on the left, one on the left side of 12, that's stone pine, it's pretty dead, it needs to be removed and replaced with one of the trees from inventory. And then there's some sycamore trees between holes 7 and 18, 11 and 12 that aren't doing well and will need to be replaced as well. We have noticed quite a bit of trimming of the eucalyptus trees, especially on hole 8. Those ones, big ones right there, were trimmed down quite a bit. And in general, tree trimming has been very effective and more frequent than previous years. It lowers the risk of falling trees and branches, which is good. And then, believe it or not, the tree on 16 is doing better on the left side of it because they trimmed the big pine tree that was next to it. The right side is not looking as good, mainly because it gets hammered with golf balls. A couple of individual hole notes. 1 and 10 have that new joint tee box, which has been working really great, taking a lot of the pressure off the first tee. It kind of gives a different look to the course at times. Hole 14 had all the bushes and low-lying trees removed. That seemed to be a bit of a fire hazard, so they had that. It was removed, and they put down some mulch and stuff like that to kind of keep it.
If there isn't a concern that the balls might go over there because it's not there.
Well, there's always that possibility, but it is a pretty steep bank, and it does go up several feet, so hoping that won't be an issue there.
There's more concerns over the rain.
Washing that, yeah, when it rains, it's going to wash the stuff down the hill. Yeah. Hole 15, the cart path continues to be patched as needed between the tee box and the green. It's pretty gnarly around that bend. Hole 16, talk about doing the tee box. The blue tee box is looking to get resodded as the current grass is just really struggling to stay healthy. There's lots of holes, and it just takes a beating from all the play. It's a very small area. Upcoming projects are all pretty much on hold at this point in time until master plan is finalized and to make sure that efforts are in alignment with it. A couple other notes of interest. New flags are being installed as needed. You'll notice every once in a while a new one shows up. The driving range net extension, we didn't have any, there were no updates on that at this time. I don't know if staff has anything new on that, or if it's holding off the master plan.
No, it's not attached to the master plan. It probably needs to go back out to bid because the bid has expired at this point. So
Yeah, so,
I'll follow Public Works on that.
okay, thank you. Staffing, currently there's 10 full-time employees, so they've got no openings at this time. However, one employee is out on long-term disability, and daily attendance is limited at times, unfortunately, as staff has things going on, which are getting in the way of them being at work. Ideally, an additional 3 employees would be helpful, with one of them being an engineer or mechanic to work on the equipment. And then for the marshals, there's 2 open roles with 1 hiring currently in progress. So if anyone knows marshal, there's a potential for an extra spot available. Vendor management, so Bemis was dismissed due to a breach of contract with the landscaping. They do the landscape maintenance around the clubhouse and all the flowers and stuff like that. So unfortunately they weren't living up to their end of the agreement, so they have been let go. Maintenance team is covering in the meantime, which unfortunately is an extra burden on them while a replacement vendor is being determined. Equipment-wise, another one of the sore spots for the team. It just continues to be a dire need. There's no new equipment out on order. I do understand that there is lease options that are starting to be explored. We need just to stress the importance of trying to get that as soon as possible. They are down to 1 tractor that's functional at this point in time. That's been sort of earmarked for only the rough, just to keep that rough down. If that tractor goes down, they're in a bit of a bind.
We used to have 3.
We used to have 3, according to Jordan. So we're down to 1. So we really, you know, they're working with the best they have right now, but everything is kind of falling apart. Really need some new stuff. The desired equipment, most importantly, the top 3 was a team mower, another tractor, so that they can use the tractor for everything, right? I mean, they use it for fertilizing, they use it for pull along for a lot of stuff. Jordan mentioned that at this point in time, to do fertilizing, they have to walk around with a plastic thing and do it like we would our own lawns. And it's just too burdensome when you don't have a big giant staff, which unfortunately you can have. And then a trim mower for all the edges, you know, car shot stuff, edges around tee boxes, things like that to make it look sharp. So quite a bit of info in here, hopefully.
We did offer a new box of Band-Aids.
Yes.
Do we have to wait for the master plan before they can put out anything for equipment?
No, I'm working separately with Jordan on some of these items. It has to go to council we're in a 2-year budget now, so normally we would have the opportunity to update. So now I just have to bring it separately to council.
Yeah, because it should be a very high priority based on what I'm hearing and seeing, that they just, at any point in time, the equipment could just go sideways and then they'll really be in a bind.
Yeah, especially if that tractor goes down.
Yeah, I'm hoping to take something to council either the second meeting in May or the first meeting in June is the earliest I
Oh,
can
yeah,
do it.
that's great.
Yeah.
Can we get notification when that is going to council?
Yeah, we can add the golf committee to that notice.
That'd be great. All right, and that's
That's a good job. Very well prepared in that length of time. Anything from the House Committee that we should go into over and above what you guys were working on?
Nothing over and above what?
Okay. Finance Committee, Mark, you were on that one?
Some confusion, because I think it says Ben, and so we thought maybe we had Robert on there,
Yeah, and we haven't
and we haven't met at all.
met
So-
on this at all.
So I guess confirmation of who is on this finance subcommittee, first of all. I think last year, last term, there was
That's
just us two.
That's not Robert.
I think Robert came on.
So I don't, either way.
And thanks for the financials. I think I'm requesting a meeting with Samantha to go over the financials. I think we have the same issue in the financials that we do in the activity report, which is like period confusion. So I think once it's clear.
So this report you're looking at is the current fiscal year update from July 1st all the way until this was printed Monday, April
It
28th.
makes sense on the revenues, does look like year-to-date revenues, but there's an adjusted budget and a balance, and I don't think that, it doesn't look like 9 months of activity.
Yeah, I'll have to look at it.
Yeah.
Just to confirm, the fiscal year ends June 30th, is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
But I appreciate having the financials, and if we continue to have them with me, then we can set meetings to discuss the subcommittee.
Yeah.
In between.
Committee member items, Ben, let's start with you. Anything that you want to bring up?
No, I think I brought them all up in our tour stuff that we did.
I have a few. I guess, I think Mandy and I brought the fee thing a couple of times, and it's been, I think, the responsibility of the team with the master plan.
It is, yes.
But just, anecdotally, you'll never hear usually people complain about fees being too low. I think universally, it sounds like the people I play with, like, it needs to be raised for a number of reasons, including paying for better conditions and affecting the demand around the course. So I guess timing-wise, I think it's been probably 2 years now since the
Yeah.
fee adjustment, and when did, like, when we say it's with the master plan, that doesn't look like it's gonna get wrapped up for some time.
So we can take a fee resolution at any time to council. This committee doesn't meet again until August. I'm hoping that the master plan will land to council around that time. That would be my goal. And at that point, the city council would also adopt a fee resolution. If there's a want to adjust fees ahead of that, we could either call a special meeting of the golf course committee, or I can take a resolution to council without the committee looking at it. Or the subcommittee can opine, and then I can take something.
Yeah, I think it would be good, so if probably will take a while to figure out what to do, even if when the master plan comes to fruition. And I'm guessing we'll need some input in addition to what the planners come with from the architects, in the same way we're doing it with the course itself. Because there's, I think, a lot of questions there about particularly the out-of-town fees and
Well, I know-
things like that. So it would be good to probably
Yeah.
have a discussion about philosophy.
Yeah, well, in the past, I know that there's been a lot of work done by you and your staff,
Yes.
checking what prices are.
I got all the prices for every public course in Southern California, in city, out of city.
Right.
We're by far the lowest, and by far like the least amount of difference between out of town and resident.
That's why we get people driving from Fullerton to Boyd
Correct.
Hall.
Yeah.
So I can, we can put this on the agenda for the August meeting, or if the committee wants to see it ahead of that, it's a public hearing for council, so it has to be a pretty duly noticed meeting, and then
Yeah.
it does take 30 days for it to take effect, so.
It'd be good to, even if we say we're going to wrap it up with the master plan, it'd be good to sort of start the process, I think. So we have
And
an
it is
idea.
part of the master plan, so they're looking at that, the consultant's gonna come back with recommended fees as part of that. But if you're wanting to speed that up, then we'd have to call a special
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah. And- or
Aside
just-
from that.
I would say so. Didn't we say we were gonna try and meet in June anyways on something else?
Yes, on the master plan.
So
So we're having a
That was
special
pushed
meeting.
into there.
Well,
can
it
we
will be
review
in
it as part of that
It will be part of that, I would imagine.
in
You're,
June?
no, that, you're not gonna see fees until there's a design that's kind of selected and we have an idea of what the cost will be.
All right.
And then there'll be a gauge on how fees should be structured going forward.
So can we have our own fees discussion at the
Absolutely,
same time?
yes.
Can we talk about the
Yeah.
designs that come forward?
Yeah,
Doesn't have to include the golf.
that's gonna be a pretty big meeting if you're looking at fees and a master plan. You might wanna see those separately. It depends on how long you want your meeting to go for. I think the master plan conversation is usually gonna run around an hour to an hour and a half. And oftentimes we're seeing fees can be a 30-minute to a 45-minute discussion.
Yeah.
So if you're okay with that length of meeting, we can certainly look at
Maybe we
combining.
just schedule it for our August meeting. I think just to get it on the calendar.
I think it's important. It would be up to us if we wanna have another special meeting. I 100% hear you, and I agree with you. It would be nice to speed it up. Council is also, they take some breaks through July, so we are getting kind of into a tight window.
So maybe putting it on the agenda for our August meeting.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
if you want, I mean, the only other option would be to do something for fees in May, so we could come, but this is only May 1st, so we could come back and, 2 or 3 weeks with a recommendation to the committee. We could then take it to council in June, and then you could have new fees effective somewhere there around July. That is a very expedited process, but completely feasible, if you want to see something.
Because we won't
quicker.
see the recommended fees from the master plan
No.
until August, so we can't
We
meet
can't
and talk about it
foresee
in
that,
August,
yeah.
and then all of a sudden, the master plan comes out a week
Yeah, and we
later.
wouldn't implement an increase in July, and then in August we'll get the master plan telling us something else, or it's not enough.
Well, I think theirs is gonna be, my guess is that their raise is gonna be a lot more than
Right.
what we were doing
And I think it's
this
going to
year.
be
And it
a
might,
community issue again.
and
probably.
it might actually help with doing it in a tiered approach rather than, trying to have people get hit over the head with what comes out of the master plan. I mean, it might make the master plan, it will definitely help our increase if we do one beforehand, because it won't seem as bad compared to, I'm
So,
serious, it's
why
like,
don't
it's
I
like,
work-
Non-resident fees.
or everything,
Well,
or everything.
Before we get too deep in the weeds, because this is not on the agenda.
Right.
Why, the chair would be the one that needs to call a special meeting, so why don't you allow staff to work with the chair and the vice chair, and we'll find a date and time, that is potentially ahead of your August meeting, to have that conversation, if that works?
Yes,
Yeah, I think it,
Yeah.
we try and do that ahead of time, for sure.
that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you for that. So, another comment question. I know there's been a number of things implemented around the pro shop to help the tea time situation.
Yes.
Is there a report on like what's been done and how it's going? And
Yeah, yeah, I should have given you that update. Can I give it now?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So coming out of the discussion with the booking deposit fee, if you will, we learned from council, let's just enforce our existing policies, which we have a cancellation policy, we have a no-show policy, and we learned that that wasn't strictly enforced. There was a lot of flexibility by the time it reached the pro shop. So I want to commend Vinny, who's been working really hard, and I know these are hard conversations to have with golfers who frequent the golf course several times a week. So to enforce policies with people that you have good relationships with is always hard, but the pro shop has done a really good job of towing the line, so I want to commend Vinny for that and his staff. On the other side of that, what that looks like is we have a cancellation policy that says if you don't cancel 24 hours in advance, you're charged the entire booking fee. And that means that if you went on and you reserved 4 tee times and none of them show up, you're getting charged for all 4 tee times. It's not just you alone. That also means that even if the spot is filled, we're still charging you. That is just part of it, and that is so typical for golf courses. On the other side of that, we've also seen somebody reserves a foursome and only 3 people show up. You're getting charged for that 4th person again. So we are towing the line, we're enforcing that now, and in hopes of starting to see a change in behavior. On top of that, we were kind of battling invalid credit cards, expired credit cards, all of those things. So I worked with Fora pretty closely to figure out how we can remedy that. So now we are running balances on accounts. So Vinny and I kind of have a running conversation. So you might be hearing that somebody showed up to golf and, oh, you also owe us $14 from a missed tee time. And they're forced to pay on site or they're not going to golf that day.
It makes sense. I'm happy to hear that we're doing that rather than
Yeah.
putting new things in that make it more complicated.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of an admin side of it, but Vinny has taken kind of this on himself. He wants to make sure it's him going in and ensuring it's accurate, because you do have to do some account adjustments. So I think it's working. We are, and we're noting that there was a no-show on this time at this date, and it was this many tee times, and they're getting charged for the rate that they would have been charged at for the tee time. So hoping that
Yeah,
works.
thank you. I think
Yeah.
it's a sensible approach.
On the 4 up, excellent. Very
Yeah.
easy to see. There's nothing hidden. It's
Yeah.
right there.
It's very obvious, so if you chose not to read the policy, then
Yeah.
Right.
So just to confirm, because I know this will affect people, and I don't think a lot of people I play with and others, if you cancel a tee time, even if you call into the pro shop and call them, 20 hours in advance, you will still get charged for the full thing.
that's the policy.
That's a policy. Yeah. Alright, makes sense.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to, I think there's a lot of people who don't know that very well.
Most
So
don't.
it might be worthwhile blasting out a note
Okay,
to all the registered people that
Sure.
you have to say,
The
hey,
golf
just a reminder, the policy is this and it is being enforced, because there's a lot of people who will not know that.
I mean, I feel like he's been enforcing it the credit card thing went live a month ago. Probably,
it's
right?
probably been about 30 days we've been doing
Yeah,
it. If
yeah,
not a
yeah,
little
yeah.
more,
Yeah.
45
So
days.
it seems,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Vinny would know better if it's a big issue or not, but I think,
And there's, as is always in our community in general, we want to have flexibility because life does happen in the middle of everything.
yeah.
So you can't avoid that flat tire that came out of nowhere. And we do rely on our pro shop staff who have good relationships with our golfing community to kind of gauge that. There is also kind of a no-show forgiveness system within Fora, so we can start marking no-shows as unforgiven, and as soon as you have, it's like 3 strikes, you're out, your account's locked, and now you're not booking a tea time online for a number of days. We've never established a policy related to that, so if we want to go there, that is an option as well, and that would require, so you lose your online booking opportunity, and you'd have to call into the pro shop to do your tea time. So there is that option for those repeat offenders who we see frequently.
Thank you, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Wow. Great update.
I guess my last comment is maybe when we do talk about fees, down at Encinitas Ranch, so just looking at examples what people are doing for looking for best practices. Encinitas Ranch is also very impacted, community favorite public golf course in North County, San Diego, and they actually do for residents, you can do have one advanced tee time up to 90 days outside the normal window for a very significant fee per person. So again, trying to think about some of the things that people think about, like, oh, I have people coming to town and I'm never going to get a tee time. Well, if you're willing to pay another $30 per person for that tee time, you can have one, and they reserve one tee time per hour for that policy. So again, maybe when we're thinking about these things, we think about being creative on how to manage things and also potentially.
That will likely come as a recommendation to the consultant in a couple of different forms. And this committee has looked at that. I think Rick for sure and Mandy, we've talked about this in the past when we looked at fees the last time around, of an opportunity to do an advanced booking for certain occasions. And there was not an appetite at that point. But I think that's a great comment, and the consultant will come back with some options for the committee to consider.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I think when you think about that, you also have to be careful, because Torrey Pines Municipal Golf Course does that, but they open up all their tee times to that.
Yeah,
so the problem is, everything is booked at the 90.
It exactly is the problem.
Now they're raking in the money because of that, because it's $28 or $32 per person, and they're like, hey, great, but it means when you try to get a tee time 1 week in advance, I've heard from the friends that they can't, they're gone already before they, even have the chance. So that's too much. That's like they've gone too far, right? But if, like you said, one time of an hour, that might help. Or you can only have one 90-day tee time at a time.
That's the way their policy is. You can have one of them.
So let's say every 90 days you can get one.
Yeah.
In advance.
Something to think about.
Good idea.
All right.
That's it for me. Thank you.
All right, Andy,
No, nothing from me.
Robert?
I really like what Wedgwood did with the outside around the snack shop. A lot of people are using that area with the canopies. I did notice a no smoking sign, but there's still at least one employee smoking down there where people are eating. I think that doesn't look good. That's all I have to say.
Well, I would just add one more thing about Wedgwood. They have brought in more staff. So there's at least one extra server upstairs now, which I thought was pretty good. She's very pleasant.
Is this the one that's also running the cart on Fridays?
I don't think
There's a new person also.
Her name's Danielle, so I don't know if she's running. She didn't mention she was running the car.
Yeah, there's a new person that they're training for the beverage cart on Fridays.
Michelle, I think, said there was 2 people coming in, and I met them, the one in the pub, and then the second one was doing the car. So that's great news. There's that.
Okay, I got nothing. Nobody listens to me anymore. I'm entertaining a motion to adjourn.
I think.
Oh, okay, I made it. All in favor? Aye. We're out.
Thank you.